The Eagles are preparing for their first divisional game this weekend, maybe even a Saquon generational revenge game after the way the Giants let him leave this past offseason. But unfortunately, the Birds will be dealing with injuries as they're expected to miss a couple key players. We'll talk about how that impacts the game plan. Also, we get a first preview at what might be the matchup of the division over the next decade or more, and we'll talk about a couple keys for the Birds to get another win this weekend. Welcome on into A to Z Philly. I'm RB. Do me a favor, like the show and go down and subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy this coverage and help us get to 6K subscribers. We'll start it off with a couple key injury updates. Jeff McLane puts this out a little while ago. Jalen Carter and Darius Slay were actually at practice today and had their helmets on, but neither practiced on Thursday. A couple key hits there for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll pull up their injury report from yesterday. Still have not got the final one yet, but out of nowhere, the Jalen Carter injury emerges. I didn't even know he was dealing with something until a day ago, and now they say he has a shoulder injury, and it doesn't seem like he's going to play. So that'll really factor in to this matchup, which we will get to in just a little while. Dallas Goedert, who got hurt last week early in the game as a hamstring injury, doesn't seem like he'll be back for a couple weeks, as Jeff McLane reported yesterday. Darius Slay could be out with a knee injury, and maybe even the biggest blow of them all, Jordan Mailata, who will be out as well for at least a couple of weeks. So the Eagles are going to have to find some of these guys that can step up big time, and they have a list of injuries piling up. Meanwhile, the New York Giants injury report just came out for Friday, and Brian Burns, as well as Dexter Lawrence and Jamie Gillen are all questionable. Actually, Jamie Gillen is out, but Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence are questionable. But it does seem like they are going to play as they were limited participants in practice here on Friday. If we look at the Giants' schedule this season, I mean, they got ousted by Minnesota in week 1. They got beat by Washington. They beat Cleveland, but anybody can beat Cleveland right now. They did beat Seattle, which was a good win for the Giants, but how much stock can you really put in Seattle? And they got beat by Dallas, who has been pretty bad, and they could barely muster any points on Sunday night against the Cincinnati Bengals. Daniel Jones, their $40 million quarterback, is just average, and they lost Saquon. They lost Xavier McKinney. They did pick up a couple weapons, and one of those weapons, Malik Nabers, is expected to play for the New York Giants, so that is a big add back for the Giants. I mean, Nabers has probably been their best player this season, so it will be interesting to see how this team kind of fares. And you look at the Eagles, I mean, they have to get this win, man. They need to beat the New York Giants. Saquon's trip back to MetLife, and I guess if we want to start with our keys, the number one key is, letting Saquon Barkley unleash. And I think he can really get this Eagles team off to a start. Like, they need to run the ball. They need to get in a rhythm. Same things we have constantly talked about week in and week out, but they also need to do it in the first quarter. The Eagles offense through their first 5 first quarters of the season, 10 drives, 77 plays, 13 first downs, 3.3 yards per rush, 2 turnovers, and Hurts has a 59.3 passer rating with 0 points. So Eagles are the worst first quarter team in the NFL. For once, they need to get in a rhythm. All the things we talk about, whether it's the middle of the field or letting Saquon get more than 1 carry in the first quarter, whatever it is, Eagles need to go out there and make some plays. And I think that's one of the biggest keys. If the Eagles can start off hot, especially on the road against a division rival, and they can go in there and kind of shut that crowd up and punch them in the face from the beginning, I think they'll be really off to a good start and also have some confidence rather than always having to try to play from behind or going into halftime with 3 points. So definitely key this week. Couple other key matchups as ESP notes here, Fred Johnson and Brian Burns. It seems like Fred Johnson is going to start at left tackle. Don't know how I really feel about that. I mean, Fred Johnson's career was almost over a year or two ago, and he did play good early in the season when he stepped in, but they were thinking about moving Becton out to left tackle. Now, I don't think that's really a polished idea either, but Becton definitely has a lot more confidence in Jeff Stoutland's system, and I think that he can probably shift over if needed. Another key matchup is Cam Jurgens and Dexter Lawrence. I think this is the biggest matchup of the week. If I had to put it in a more overall sense, the trenches are going to win or lose this game for the Philadelphia Eagles. We know they're banged up on the O-line with Mailata. That's why I said it might be, their biggest injury, but Dexter Lawrence right now is on an all-time tear to begin this season. Keep in mind, he is playing the nose tackle for the New York Giants in their 3-4 system, and he is off to 7 sacks in the first 6 games. I believe his season high over his first 3 years was 7.5. He already has 7 sacks. So a clear breakout year for Dexter Lawrence, but it doesn't stop there. The New York Giants are actually first in the NFL in sacks. Now, they did fall to number 2 last night because the Broncos played on Thursday night. They have 2 more than the Giants do. But in all likelihood, the Giants will probably get more than 2 sacks this weekend unless the Eagles' O-line is just stellar. But based on the performance so far this season, the Giants have been all over quarterbacks. Now, they are letting up 71+% completion. So, their secondary is not that good, but their pass rush has been elite. They have Brian Burns, who they acquired via trade. They have Ojulari. Jason Pinnock, safety, actually has 3 sacks as well. Then they have Kayvon Thibodeau, Bobby Okereke. So the Giants have a bunch of menaces on that defense, and they're going to do what it takes to get all over Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts needs to do what he can to get the football out quick and make good decisions. Now, keep in mind, the Giants are almost dead last in the league. They only have 1 interception. The Philadelphia Eagles only have 2. So which defense can come out and finally pick off a couple passes? If I had to put my money on it, I think it would be the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't trust Daniel Jones. I think he's average and mediocre at best. The Giants are probably going to run him into the ground a little bit. That's what they have been doing because, quite frankly, he's really not that good of an efficient pocket passer. The Eagles can absolutely force him into interceptions. If I had to have, I guess, a hot take, I don't even know if it counts as one, but I would say Quinyon Mitchell gets his first interception. He's been so close the last couple of games, and I think Quinyon's going to pick off Daniel Jones. However, what I would say is that they cannot give him any life. They can't give him any ounce of energy. They need to get at Daniel Jones, but I do think the Eagles' defensive line is at a little bit of, a problem here because Jalen Carter not playing in this game is going to be huge. Who's going to get to the quarterback, right? Josh Sweat starting to emerge a little bit. I like what Moro Ajomo is doing. Still don't have confidence that Bryce Huff can get to the quarterback. Still don't really have that much confidence in Jordan Davis getting there. So, look, you look at the Giants' offense, Devin Singletary and this 5th-round pick from this season, Tyrone Tracy, have combined for a decent rushing effort. Hasn't been anything crazy, but overall, the Giants are just going to try to get points where they can. They're not really a dynamic offense. The one guy coming back, though, this week is Malik Nabers, and this is probably going to be, I would say, the matchup of the week in the NFL. This could end up being the matchup of the NFC East for the next 10 plus years. Malik Nabers missed last week, had the concussion. He was going to concerts or whatever. But Nabers in the 4 games he's played has 386 yards, 3 touchdowns. Meanwhile, you look on the defensive side, Quinyon Mitchell has probably been one of the Eagles' best defenders. And for both of these guys to be rookies coming out of this class and just to look so polished already, I just think there's going to be a really good matchup on Sunday. We'll see if Nabers is 100% to go, but I know Quinyon is. And right now, Quinyon has forced an incompletion in every game that he has played in. He's been better than Darius Slay. So even if Slay doesn't play, maybe we'll see Keely Ringo. Maybe we'll see Isaiah Rodgers. Whoever it is, they got to step in and hold down the fort. But I have true, utmost 100% confidence in Quinyon Mitchell. And for a defense that has looked, inconsistent over the last couple of games, I think Quinyon having a really stellar game not only gives him self-confidence that he can do this against any receiver in the league, but it also gives this defense a boost and shows like, okay, we have a guy we can count on for the next X amount of years. So this is really the biggest test for him. Last week was the first time we saw Vic Fangio send additional blitzes, be very aggressive, right? He knew that Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns were at a disadvantage. He knew how bad and how poor they were. Will he bring that same mindset against Daniel Jones? I think he has to, because once you start to rattle Jones, he looks like a deer in headlights. There is no doubt about it. So if we look at the New York Giants, like I said, Nabers you have to worry about. Darius Slayton. The rest of these guys are just they're nothing crazy. The Giants really haven't put together a complete game either. I think with everything considered, there was a lot of off-the-field drama this week with Nick Sirianni. He needs to come out, handle his business, handle his post-game presser like a professional, and he just needs to stay 10 toes, man. Nick Sirianni cannot get distracted by the division matchup or the rah-rah. I don't want to see any crazy t-shirts this week or any crazy press conference quotes. Just go out there, handle your business. This should be a win for the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I said, I think Saquon Barkley is the last key, which we already kind of mentioned, but I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a generational game. There's always that first matchup where a player is still pissed off. He's playing it down, saying there's nothing to be worried about. It's just another game. But we know deep down with how that thing handled itself, with how it played out on national television on Hard Knocks, Saquon's pissed off. He's still frustrated. We heard it on that phone call. And just like when AJ went back to play the Titans, I could see 150 to 200 all-purpose yards. I think Saquon is going to feast, but I hope everybody stays healthy because we know that they are playing on one of the worst fields in the NFL, the turf, the lousy Metlife, disgusting turf. And lastly, I'll just say, the Eagles need to do the things that we've all been talking about, right? Use the middle of the field. No Dallas Goedert in this game. Will it be Grant Calcaterra? It seems like Jalen finally trusts him. I definitely think there's a process where Jalen has to really trust a player, but it seems like he trusts Calcaterra. Make it easier for yourself. We can't go out there and have an inconsistent game plan again and then try to fight one out at the end like we do every single week. So at the end of the day, I think the Eagles are the better team. Talent-wise, I think they should get this win. I think Saquon's going to go crazy, but I still don't know fully what to expect. So I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles in this game 28-17. I think Saquon accounts for almost all the points in some way. So give me your thoughts down below in the comment section. What's your final score prediction? Eagles versus Giants. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Welcome to BetMGM Live Dealer. All your favorite casino games, blackjack, poker, roulette, craps, and more. All on your phone, desktop, or tablet 24/7. Play with friends or make new ones at the tables.
Double down, Dave.
Chat with players and live dealers like you're at the casino.
Give me a 10. Yes!
Now you're betting with the king of Live Dealer.